good group tonight. Thank you, Warden. All right, well, as we say here, Twende, let's go. Well, Jambo, my friends, Jambo means hello. My name is Jillian, and I'm going to be your safari driver for the evening. Now, just a few quick things before we head into your Giraffe Wildlife Reserve. If you do have cameras or mobile devices letting you to take some photos, please hold on to those tightly, because unfortunately the warden does not allow me to stop for anything that I pull over the edge of the truck. I do ask that everyone does remain seated at all times, keeping their hands on feet and legs inside the truck as well, because we're going to be moving by some brush that has some pretty big thorns. Now, throughout the evening time, this is going to be a little bit of a different experience. We're not only going to be looking for animals, but we're going to be listening to them as well, because some of the animals are a little bit more active during the nighttime, so they do tend to make some sounds that you wouldn't necessarily hear during the day. And if I don't happen to see something right away, we're going to play a nice game of I Spy. So if you see an animal, feel free to point it out. Just let me know what side it's on. Let's take a look. So the first area that we're going to be checking out tonight is called the Little Terrain Forest. You want to pay close attention. Make sure you look down to the side at all times. And if you so desire, have those cameras ready for action, because the animals here in the Terrain Forest do tend to be a little bit shy. So we're going to have to look extra careful for them.
What are the mounds that look like somebody's been eating them?
What's that back there?
There's a mount, like a tree kind of broken down. Is that actually something they eat?
Yeah. So some of the plants in here, they do feed on these. So if there's something that looks like it's been nibbled on, it's likely that something's been through here and chewing down on it. And it looks like that a pretty good sized watering hole coming up ahead here. Typically when you see water, you do see some animals. And every once in a great while, I do catch a glimpse of a black rhino, although it's not very often. There are only about 5,000 black rhinos left in the world today, and that is due to poaching. But don't worry, we're still going to keep an eye out for some anyway. Now, if you look up ahead here, coming up on the very edge of the water here, we've got a pretty tall black and white bird. This is called a saddle-billed stork. It gets its name from the yellow saddle-shaped patch on its bill, and they get to be about 5 feet tall with a wingspan of between 8 and 9 feet, which is about as wide as this truck. So they get pretty tall, and their wingspan's pretty big as well. So that is the saddle-billed stork. Ecosystem called the Soggy Road. And this just so happens to be one of my we're going to go down ahead up a little bit here and see what we can find. Now I think I see some water, so that's a good sign. Now keep an eye out to the right, see if you can spot any movement there on the water. Now, every once in a while I do catch a glimpse of a hippo in here. We're still going to go up ahead a little bit farther and see if there are any up there as well. And hippos aren't really much of swimmers. They pretty much just sink down to the water. They can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time, which is a long time. Now, it's fully grown, especially the male hippos, they can get all the way up to about 5,500 pounds, which is pretty big. Here we go. Take a look to the left, just behind that very first island. There's a pretty good group of hippos out there. And you can see some of the eyes and ears there peeking above the water. There's a pretty good group of them. They're kind of lined up next to one another. Alright, one thing I forgot to mention, please refrain from any flash photography for these. Alright, so on top of this island here on the left, we've got these pretty good sized lighter colored birds. These are called the pink-backed pelicans. During mating season, these pelicans turn a pinkish color on their backs. And unlike most pelicans, they actually pick up their food and eat it right away rather than storing their bills for a period of time like most other pelicans do. So again, like most other pelicans, these pelicans actually don't do that. like on the left, we've got Nile crocodile territory. Now, once fully grown, if you were to stand one of these with on the end of their tails, they could be anywhere up to 20 feet high, or about as tall as a giraffe. So they get really, really big. And if you look all the way in the back, you can kind of see one with its mouth wide open. Now, sometimes you catch them that way. Now, mostly during the daytime, but sometimes they do it at nighttime too. Crocodiles do rely on sunlight for their body heat. Once they get overheated, they want to put around the nice and wide. They keep moving like that, actually helps cool their body down. But they do get overheated during the nighttime too. So sometimes you catch them with their mouth wide open during the daytime. So those are the Nile crocodiles. Go around this bend here. I'm going to have you look on the right. There's a pretty big tree coming up. This here is called a baobab tree. Now, baobab trees look like they grew upside down. You'll notice the top branches of it sort of look like roots. This is how they grow. They just remain leafless for about 9 months out of the year. And they're nicknamed the upside down tree. Pretty fitting, right? Well, don't worry. We'll see a couple more of those on the adventure ahead here. But in the meantime, we're going to do some exploring in this ecosystem called the savanna. And if I may say so myself, we've got a pretty great view out here, especially if you look to the left. It looks like we're just in time for the sunset. You can see the sun's rays are kind of streaming in through the trees, illuminating them. It's pretty cool out there. So if you look to the left, you'll notice those trees are trimmed up pretty high. You can see the sun's rays are streaming through them. About 20 feet in the air, which means giraffes must have been through here not too long ago. Giraffes feed on these trees, and they feed between about 16 and 20 hours on a day, which sure does not leave a lot of time for sleeping. On average, giraffes only sleep about 30 minutes per day. Next, I'm going to have you look to the right. So we got these animals with the great big horns here. The sun's rays are hitting them just right, so you can see them pretty well. So we got the animals with the big horns. These are called the Ankoli cattle, also known as the Watusi cattle, named after the Watusi tribe that domesticated them. They are the only domestic animal here on the reserve, and believe it or not, those horns aren't quite as heavy as they look. They're actually semi-hollow with the honeycomb structure inside of that because there's a cooling system for them. But at the base of the horns, that point closest to their heads, they can get all the way up to about 20 inches in circumference. So those horns get really big. And if you take a look to the left, we've got two different animals. First of all, you'll see those ones straight back with the pointy horns. Those are called the Patterson's eland. Those are the largest of the antelopes. Pretty strong and muscular creatures as well. Without a running start, they can jump about 6 to 8 feet in the air, which is pretty impressive, especially for their size and not needing a running start beforehand. Now, if you look to the left here, we've got this pretty tall structure, kind of reddish and orangey color. Anybody know what made those? Termites, that's right, termite mounds. Made of dirt and a secretion by the termite similar to a saliva, and that hard to think of these termite mounds. Pretty popular among elephants, like using a scratching post. Eventually they get worn down like the one on the right, and antelopes like to use those to stand on top of them and use them to look for predators. If you look just to the right, there's a big group of animals laying down there in the grasses. Can you see them? They have little horns on them. Those are the white-bearded wildebeest. Part of the largest migration in Africa. Each herd of them can be anywhere between about 10 to 1,000. They migrate in groups of up to 1.5 million for about 500 to 1,000 miles. So big groups for big distances. Also referred to as the new, spelled G-N-E because the new sound that they make. And they can run up to about 50 miles per hour. So wildebeest are pretty fast. Now, during the nighttime, so kind of like what they were doing back there, they start to set themselves up in rows and they sleep that way. That actually allows them to have a quick escape route in case danger approaches them in the middle of the night. So those wildebeest, they're pretty smart too. up ahead a little bit here and see what other animals we can catch up with. Alright, now I want you to take a look to the left. All the way in the back, there's a group of giraffes. I have to look a little bit, so I want you all to be able to see them. Some of them are moving from left to right. We got a group in the back there. You can kind of follow them and see the kind of weight on their faces. Kind of cool, right? Got a pretty good group in the back there. Now, these particular giraffes are the Masai giraffes. A little bit tough to see, but they have kind of a messy, jagged pattern on them. Usually when you think of giraffes, you think of the ones with the great big meat patches. Those are a little bit different. Those are called reticulate giraffes. So again, these are the Masai. So keep looking to the left. A couple of them all the way in the back are moving a little bit. You can still see the one all the way to the far right. You can see one's moving from right to left. Pretty cool, right? A pretty good group of giraffes. Well, let's continue on the adventure here. If you look out to the right, got a pretty fantastic view. This is one of my favorite spots. Just the way that the rays from the sun just hit the grasses out there. You can see all the different shapes. It looks pretty cool out there, doesn't it? Now once we get to the top of this hill, if you look to both sides, you'll notice we've got these two baobab trees, one on each side. So we've got more of those baobab trees. Pretty of you baobab fans out there. We are now going to be heading into elephant territory. Now look out to the left. Now it might be a little bit helpful if you try and look for some trunks or some tusks that might help you find the elephant. I think I've spotted one already. I'm going to pull up just a little bit here. But if you keep looking to the left, you'll be able to see it's just to the left of that baobab tree. I'm going to pull up just a little bit. Ah, there we go. Alright, so you're going to want to look back and to the left a little bit, just to the left of that baobab tree. Got a pretty good view of that elephant back there. You can kind of see the silhouette. If you look to the right of it, you can see the trunk pretty well. Now, what are they doing? Ah, there we go. There's some more coming out too. Can you see them? Pretty cool, right?
Very
fantastic view of the silhouettes. Alright, so when it comes to the elephants, males are usually solitary. Females, on the other hand, stick around in groups along with the young ones. Once the young males get to about 13, the females kick them out of the group. These are actually African elephants. We know that because of the very large size of their ears. And coincidentally, African elephants' ears are shaped like Africa. Now, both males and females actually have tusks, so we can't differentiate them just by their tusks. Although, unfortunately, similar to the black rhinos, they do have an issue with poaching, as poachers are after their ivory tusks. Now, females don't get quite as big as the males. Can you guys guess how many thousands of pounds a male elephant can weigh? This one's a guess. It's actually about 12,000 pounds, so 6 tons. Huge, right? So on the left, we've got the greater flamingos. The greater ones, because they are the largest, they get to be about 5 feet tall. Anybody know where they get their pink color from? Shrimp, absolutely fantastic. Giant shrimp is one of the main components of the diet. It's not until the pink pigmentation comes in. Now I have one more question for you. Might be a little bit trickier, but does anybody know what a group of them is called? Any ideas? Let's call the flamboyant. Flamboyant flamingos. Kind of cute, right? Alright, well I think that was a pretty cool view of the elephant. Well, let's keep on going on the adventure here. We're going to continue through the savannah. But first I want to point out this warden's booth here on the left. It looks like the warden has captured some poachers. Looks like the collection of warrants, which means that there are less poachers on the reserve, which means that our animals are just a little bit safer, which is always a good thing. If you take a look to it, it looks like they've got some mud wallows out there, or mud pits. Usually when you see mud pits, you gotta keep an eye out for some rhinos, because they love rolling around in the mud, especially when it's warm out. Rolling around in the mud is how they keep themselves safe. So we'll be sure to keep an eye out for some rhinos.
I think I can see one walking.
Alright, now once we go around this bend, we're going to keep an eye out for some animals in here. In particular, the cheetahs. We may or may not see the cheetahs, only because cheetahs are primarily daytime animals. Yeah, the fastest land mammals running up to speeds of about 70 miles an hour, but unlike most wildcats, they're known to be day hunters rather than night hunters, and that's because they're very keen eyesight. So again, primarily daytime animals, they do most of their hunting and activities during the day, but it's not uncommon to see them during the nighttime. Usually they're laying down, kind of hanging out towards the back, so let's see if we can spot any. Alright, so that might be one right there before the bushes, straight back. Might be one right there. I think I see the head peeking up there. A little bit tough to see. It's kind of lighter in color compared to the rest of the ground. Just before the bushes. Not always easiest to pick out, but I think that's a cheetah right there. Pretty cool. Alright, once I get to the top of this hill, I want you to keep an eye on both sides, because you never know what kind of animals are going to be coming through here. Although, I think I see something already. Take a look to the left, you don't want to miss it. We've got a male lion right here. Pretty cool, right? Pretty good view of him too now. We might be able to see his face a little bit better from the other side. So we're going to go around to the other side. Oh, he's turning this way. All right. I'm going to pull up just a little bit more so you can see his face. How cool is that? So lions are pretty lazy. They're inactive for about 18 to 20 hours out of the